الكونين والثقلين محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I am highly honored to be here again this evening and share with you very briefly in some reflections on the topic given to me. When we talk about balance and activism, our approach should be very clear. The term balance or moderation is used in our daily conversation, sometimes apologetically, sometimes fairly. Unfortunately, nowadays this term is used apologetically. Muslims globally have developed a psyche to defend themselves unnecessarily. Since moderation has its opposite concept, extremism, terrorism, fundamentalism, therefore Muslims have a tendency to always say, we are moderate people, not extremist. That's apology. On the other hand, if you look at the Quran and Sunnah, we find that Islam essentially is a matter of creating that equation which Quran calls adl, ta'dil, qist, and all those boil down to one single aspect, that you should not do unnecessarily, but do what is needed. Therefore, balance, moderation, all those terms can be simply reduced to one single concept of the Quran, namely adl. Adl means you are not doing things beyond your limit. When you go beyond that, you enter the area of taghi or going beyond limits, breaking the limits. Islam is the only faith in the history of world religions which has come up with an integration of what is known as spirituality and what's known as materiality. The highest ideal for some religions has been leaving the world, going in isolation, withdrawal, celibacy, becoming a hermit, and after staying away from society for decades, achieve spiritual enlightenment. In Islam, enlightenment is not a matter of killing yourself, self-mortification. It's not a matter of spirituality by denying materiality. Therefore, every single aspect that the Quran and Sunnah suggest or advocate is full of spirituality, at the same time full of materiality. Prayer is not a matter of meditation. Fasting, not a matter of killing your body. Zakah, not a matter of denying worldly gain or money. every single aspect of ibadat, full of spirituality. At the same time, they are not denying worldly existence. Zakah is essentially a matter of giving on your savings a certain portion which belonged to people but came to you. It was enrooted through you, not you own it. Therefore, when we talk about Islam in terms of moderation or balance, then it's not a matter of offering apologies. The Quran makes it very clear that prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were sent to bring that balance in life which will make our life attractive and meaningful. Therefore, life for a Muslim is something pleasant, not a torture. Pleasant in the sense of trying to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time, and that gives you peace of mind, peace of soul, and consolation. Similarly, it's a matter of doing things in the most appropriate manner. Who will deny the fact that if one of you this evening decide that let me become a spiritualist by leaving my university, my job, my family, and spend 7 years in isolation, meditation, and after that come out and say, now I have some spirituality. And people will believe in you. They will bow down their head. They will see in your face a glamour of truth. They will say a hala around you of spirituality. But what you find from Islam is when 3 of Prophet's companions went to Ummahatul Mu'mineen to find out how Prophet lived, and they were told how he lived. They came back from them. On their way they said, but what we heard, perhaps Prophet has been given exemptions. We should not sleep during night, but keep awake whole night and pray. That's how we can improve our iman. The other one said, well, best way is to keep fasting all the time. And third one said, I can achieve spirituality by never going to my wife. When Prophet heard about that, he summoned them. He began his conversation with 2 simple words. And those were, I have more khashya and more taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I am his messenger. And some time of night I sleep, sometime I'm praying. Some days I fast, some days I miss. And then what he said, you have heard hundreds of times, but perhaps never given thought to it. He says, Nikah is my sunnah. And whoever denies my sunnah is not from us. All those who claimed sainthood in the history of mankind were saints because they remained bachelor. All those who claim they discovered enlightenment were those who left their families, went into isolation, and came back with claim, now we know the wisdom. Here, Prophet, peace be upon him, tells his companions they should have moderation. Another one who decided to pray whole night was summoned, and he asks, is it correct what I have heard, that you stay whole night awake and fast? And he said, yes. The answer was, your nafs has haqq on you. Again, that balance and moderation, which is the essence of spirituality. Spirituality means that you are a butcher, but you sell your product in most appropriate way. You clean it, you trim it, you make it customized, and when you give in proper measure, you are having a spirituality. Same, when you cook your ideas, trim them, frame them, present them, you are having a spirituality. It's not something other than living consciously, responsibly, and creatively. This is why the Quran tells the Prophet, peace be upon him, O you who are wrapped, stay away during night, half of it, slightly more, slightly less. Did not say to have a spirituality and extreme state of unity of mind, stay awake whole night. The Quran tells us Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes people who spend in His way. Therefore, infaq fi sabilillah is extremely encouraged. Yet, the Quran says, don't tie your hand to your neck, nor lose it like anything. What does that mean? Very simple. Moderation and balance. Now let's see how we in our everyday life behave. If we like a profession, say for example, a person is a imam, a khatib, an orator, then would he like to present his ideas in shortest possible time or longest possible time? If an artist who wants to do some painting, would he paint things that reflect moderation or balance, or use of colors, use of brush? Everything shows the confusion of mind and confusion of soul. When someone wants to become a businessman, do they have moderation in that? Or the target is to become billionaire? In every single aspect that we adopt for ourselves, we never try to have moderation. Consequently, we have crisis in family, crisis in society. A professional who is working in a hospital wants to do moonlighting. For what? To get some more comforts. At the cost of what? Health, becoming addicted to drugs, ruining family life. On the other hand, the Quran and Sunnah tell us very clearly, you have to develop an approach of balance and moderation in everything, in ibadah, in everyday life, and particularly when we talk about people around us. Either we talk about people in the most dark manner or most light manner, but never balanced. Islam tells us that even if your enemy has something good, don't disregard that. Truth means things as they are, not as we want to see them. Therefore, Muslim community has to be the community of moderation. In the Jummah khutbah you heard the Quranic ayah which tells us very clearly our very existence is based on the concept of ummatan wasatan. That we are a people who are supposed to be balanced and moderate in our approach, not taking extremes. Therefore, in this country particularly, Muslims have to think how can they present themselves with that moderation and balance which is the mark of Islam, which tells us about difference between Muslims and others. Parents, are they loving their children in the way Islam wants? Or quite often they take an extremist view, pampering them to the extent of spoiling them, or being strict to the extent of never allowing them to do anything. Both extremes lead to imbalance in society. Therefore, the Quranic approach and Sunnah approach is very simple. If we want to do something good, may that be, in our view, a small good. But if that is done with sincerity and constancy, Allah loves that more than doing a big thing and never repeating it. Sayyida Aisha reports that Prophet, peace be upon him, liked small good things but done regularly. Not that one night out of enthusiasm we make the whole night vigil and for the whole year nothing about praying or nothing about remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, my sisters, we must understand our approach in all matters has to be based on the Sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, as well as on the Quranic instructions of how to be moderate and balanced, and only then we can make a difference in society. Society where we live in is an extremist society. Here you have on every corner of the street capitalist imprint, and capitalism is extremism in economic matters. It's extremist philosophy because it wants those who have resources to exploit others to their best. In such a society, it's very much important for us to understand how we can bring a moderate approach in economic matters, in political matters, in social matters, religious matters, and ultimately fulfill that Quranic instruction of being ummatan wasatan, an ummah which is moderate, an ummah which has a mission to create balance in life, adl in life, fairness in life. Unless we create that fairness, we will be failing in our mission. And therefore, for youth particularly, it's very important to think again and again, are we following the path of moderation or we are going to extremes? Islam does not want us to go to extremes. It wants us to differentiate between good and bad. At the same time, it wants us to remain firm on good and reject what is wrong with the most appropriate manner. Nothing can be more serious than giving da'wah. Yet the Quran says, وَجَادَلُهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Even when you are debating and contesting, that contest should not be immoderate, but even that has to be moderate. Therefore, the whole thrust of the Quranic teachings leads us to think that Islam in this country has to be lived in most moderate and most balanced manner, so we can provide people a living example of how Islamic society and a family can work. This example is best way of dawah, and not just giving lectures on dawah can bring any results. May Allah bless you all. Jazakallah khair.
صل وسلم دائما أبدا رميت في الله لم تهزم ولم تهيني حتى غادت أمة الإسلام في النار.